Welcome everyone to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. We are closely following what is happening in this new round of the war, this time with Iran. And it's of course a great pleasure to be joined today in this briefing by the head of IDSF Research Or Yissachar. Or thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Moshe, for having me.
Or I certainly hope that you are staying safe and you are doing well with all of the upheaval right now within Israel. What can you share with us? What updates can you tell us about the progress of this war?
Look, the situation is boiling tense. What can I say? This has been maybe the 10th or 15th time that we had to find refuge in the shelter, and including in the middle of the night several times. With the Iranian regime, firing indiscriminately toward civilians. We see how these ballistic missiles fired from Iran can reach all the way to the heart of Israeli population centers in Tel Aviv and around it. And we can see how in Haifa, we can see how buildings have been badly hit, and some 24 civilians, including children and elderly, have been killed, several hundred wounded. So this is incredibly worrisome for Israelis, but we're also very hopeful because we can see how Israel broke that psychological barrier and started raiding the Iranian nuclear sites and ballistic missile sites. We felt like we had no choice because Iran refused any negotiations, and President Trump gave them every opportunity to negotiate. They did not take the deal, and they decided to rain check. And so we felt like we had no choice, and it was the H hour when Iran made the decision to break out to nuclear weapons, and that was the line in the sand of Israel, not to ever allow Israel to develop nuclear weapons. And that's also the position of President Trump in the United States, bipartisan, by the way. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And so right now, I feel that the Air Force, the Mossad, the intelligence, and all the security forces, and Israel is doing really the hard work on behalf of the Western world, on behalf of the free world, and to remove this clear and present nuclear threat off the table. I believe that even the region, Arab countries in the region, are quietly thankful for Israel, and we can see all the signs that they have been worried about Iran for the past few years, even signing the Abraham Accords with Israel. And I am very optimistic that after this whole round of fire is concluded, we will see Israeli and Saudi leaders shaking hands on the White House southern lawns. I'm very hopeful about this.
Amazing. And if we could just clarify, the regime in Iran is sending missiles to Israel, as you noted. And who are they targeting? Are they targeting only military sites? Are they targeting civilians in Israel? And then likewise, the attacks of Israel on Iran, who is Israel targeting as a result?
So that's a great distinction you put there, Moshe, because Israel has been targeting Iran's nuclear sites, military bases, ballistic missile silos, all these places that pose direct threat on Israel. And while Iran has been simply firing indiscriminately at civilians, predominantly at civilian targets, we see how in residential areas, entire complexes of private homes collapsed, and the Weizmann Institute in Rehovot, how entire residential buildings have collapsed in Bat Yam and elsewhere in Israel. Tel Aviv, some of the streets there and where those missiles landed look like really there's been these missiles really wreaked serious havoc over there, and in Haifa and elsewhere. So, look, this is serious. I mean, people are following the instructions of the Home Front Command. They go to the shelter, they seek refuge, and they don't leave until such time that they are told to leave. And so they're keeping themselves safe. And it's really remarkable to see how disciplined the Israeli public is. We just, we are willing to pay this price for now in order to finish the job, which is removing entirely the Iranian nuclear program and the Iranian ballistic missiles program off the table. That's the main objective of this war.
And are you able to share with us how successful these interceptions have been? Meaning, Iran is sending ballistic missiles. Some of them are, in fact, making impact. Is that a failure on Israel's defense system, or is that just an inevitability of any war?
I don't think any air defense system is hermetic and it's 100% safe. And we can see how the vast majority of missiles are being intercepted. There have been some U.S. destroyers in the region who participated in the interceptions, but all in all, this was the Israeli Air Force, the Arrow system, Arrow 2, Arrow 3, Iron Dome, placed strategically to exactly because Israel knew that civilian population centers would be targeted. So I wouldn't call it a failure. I would call it a predominant success. And unfortunately, even if it's 1%, then we can see how this claims a toll in casualties. And again, this is very different. It's a whole different ballgame than what we knew from Hamas and Hezbollah. This is not like those smaller rockets. Iran has this. Sometimes these warheads can carry up to 1 ton of explosives, and this is serious. So we're keeping ourselves safe by going to the bomb shelter.
And I want to talk about Iran because that is certainly an area of your expertise. But I just want to focus a little bit still on what is happening in Israel proper. Are you able to kind of share with us the sentiment, the feeling of Israelis on the streets? What does it seem like right now in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, just to give our viewers abroad a general understanding of what life is like right now in Israel because of these missiles coming from Iran?
Well, I got to share this one number with you, one figure, which is 90% of Israelis are in favor of the Israeli action in Iran right now. So there's amazing unity like which we've never seen before, and the people is rallying around this cause. And I can feel with anyone I talk to, right, left, and center, they say, and it's very evident on social media and the media and people you talk to, even people who were skeptical about the government's actions recently in other theaters, they said this is a threat, we have to remove it. It's very clear from anyone you talk to, and I've talked to all media outlets in Israel in the past few days, right, left, and center, and people are determined to finish the job once and for all. The streets are empty. You drive in 4 or 5 p.m. When there's usually the peak of traffic, and there's nobody around. Just and you pray to get home on time before the next siren alert. But businesses are probably suffering, and that's really concerning. And there's some 150,000 Israelis who are stuck abroad and need to be rescued and brought back home. People are, worried they may or may not reach the safe shelter on time. So they could go to their parents' place to stay there, where there is a safer shelter. All in all, I feel the great unity among the people, and I hope it stays this way.
Or thank you so much. And as one of those 150,000 Israelis stuck abroad, I appreciate the challenges that this war presents. But being stuck abroad is an inconvenience. It's a nuisance. We want to be home, but obviously being in the thick of things is obviously much more challenging. Okay, so let's now shift to Iran. What does it mean to be successful in this war? Has Israel made it clear what the goals are of this war? In Gaza, the government set out a very clear set of objectives, what the goal of the Gaza war is. Do those objectives exist for this war with Iran?
Yeah, absolutely. Bottom line, this war has to end with 2 main objectives. The nuclear program is wiped out, and the ballistic missiles project is wiped out. That's it. Now, if there's talks about the fall of the regime, this could be a bonus, maybe. It's up to the Iranian people to decide. But honestly, what I care about as an Israeli, as someone who has been researching Iran for a good number of years and speak the language and speak Farsi, the threat by Iran's nuclear and ballistic missile programs is intolerable. And if you want to measure success, then this is if you're in high tech and you have KPIs, so this is your KPI. 2 things: no nuclear program, no ballistic missile program. And by removing this threat, I think Israel would do itself a big service for the years to come.
Okay, so let's look at each of those individually. In terms of the missile program and the launchers that they have scattered throughout their country, which is a little bit bigger than Israel.
Just a little bit.
How long would it take for the Israeli Air Force, for Israel to identify and target their vast missile production program and their launchers?
Yeah, so interesting question. And you asked me before about how do Israelis feel these days, and I have to tell you that we already got used to the IAF, the Israeli Air Force, having aerial supremacy over the skies of Iran. This is quite unprecedented. We initially there were people who cast doubt on the IF's ability to even reach all the way to Iran without fueling on the way. I remember very well all these talks and all this skepticism. And now we see how the Israeli Air Force is dominating the skies of Iran. It's remarkable, and it's a projection of strength. And now we've seen how in all of our Telegram channels and our Home for Command apps, we see how they ask us first to be around a safe shelter. It's been gone for 2 days already, but there are news that the Israeli Air Force has identified some missile launchers in Iran intending to launch. Then there is this little bit of half an hour of uncertainty where those our brave pilots are hammering them hard with trying to intercept and target these launchers. When in Iran, this is simply incredible. And those cases that fail, you get the alert to be around the shelter about 5 to 10 minutes in advance, when those missiles are already on their way to Israel and they haven't been successfully blasted on the ground. And then there is the siren about a minute and a half before, in advance, and you have to find refuge in the shelter. The vast majority of these missiles are being intercepted by these air defense systems, Arrow and Iron Dome. But some unfortunately penetrate, and as I said, these scenes of devastation and havoc really are heartbreaking. But you can also see in Tehran and around Iran how those military sites are being destroyed, and there is a really impressive smoke screen piercing through the skies in Iran as a result of the Israeli strikes over there. And you can see, just imagine, all these explosives will be exploding above our heads here in Israel, and now they're being set on fire right there in Iran.
It's interesting you mentioned this sense on the streets in Israel. As an Israeli stuck outside of Israel, I want to get back, despite what everyone is experiencing and the thousands and thousands and thousands of Israelis. We all want to go home. We want to enter into the state of Israel, our homeland, in spite of or despite of what is happening. So it shows you the resolve of Jewish society, of Israeli society. What, in your understanding, what is happening on the streets of Tehran right now? You speak Farsi, you monitor what's happening over there. Are the Iranians all wanting to come to Tehran like the Israelis want to come to Israel, or the exact opposite?
I think they're in panic. The regime is in panic, full-on panic mode. And we can see how the people are responding. For example, the IDF spokesperson in Farsi issued a warning to certain districts in Tehran to entirely evacuate. And President Trump said, people of Tehran, you must evacuate immediately. And people are responding to it. And millions have been fleeing the city. There is unbelievable traffic jams. I can see them on my Google Map app, how much of a traffic jams there are around Tehran. And we can see in videos how people are fleeing the city. And they feel safe because they know that unlike the Iranian missiles, if I drive around Israel and the missile can catch civilians on the way, when the people of Tehran are fleeing, they know very well that the Israeli Air Force, there is no chance they're going to target them when they're out, en route to a safe place. So, in Tehran, you see really impressive, smoke rising above all these military sites, and those IRGC commanders feel exposed. There's targeted killings of those commanders every day, and trucks or other missile launchers being targeted by drones or by planes. But in general, I think this is a big, turning point for Iran right now. These are not usual times. And it's remained to be seen what's going to happen down the road.
Okay, thank you. So now let's talk, if we can, about the nuclear program. When you talk about destroying Iran's nuclear program, you have the physical infrastructure, you have the nuclear material, you have the scientists. How does Israel destroy their program so that we're not in this same boat in another 10, 15 years from now?
So right now, the objective was to remove an immediate and imminent threat. What's going to happen 5 or 10 years from now is dependent on like a million other factors. But I can tell you that it's not that easy to recreate those nuclear facilities We're buried deep underground. It's not that easy to find those talented nuclear scientists again and to fund all this because it costs billions. So the main thing was to remove an imminent threat. And I have to tell you that that even though it seems like, well, you're doing this now and they may develop nuclear weapons once again, I don't know what may means. It's a month for me. It's the name of a month. For me in the future, whatever happens, we'll deal with it. Right now, Iran cannot have nuclear weapons, and it may teach us, to be honest, to prevent it and nip it in the bud next time before we get to the H hour, so that Iran doesn't even get anywhere near its very advanced stage of nuclear weapons as it was right now.
And we keep seeing in the media the US and President Trump talking about their involvement in this war. What has the US done so far, and what do you anticipate seeing in the coming days with the US?
Look, so President Trump will make his own decision. The president will make a determination based on the best national security interest of the United States. I don't think we should presume to speak for the president. We're just very thankful for his support. And I have to say that during the previous administration, some of these ammunitions were held back and used as a political cudgel. They said, if you do this and that, sort of, for example, if you go to Rafah, if you continue, if you don't agree to a ceasefire, then we're not going to supply the ammunitions. And indeed, some of them were slow-walked and some of them were entirely held back. And the Trump administration released those ammunitions, and Israel can act freely right now. But whether or not the United States will join, look, I will tell you that it's really up to the United States to decide. Israel can't do this on its own. It will just take more time. And those heavy B-2 stealth bombers, for example, they have the capacity to effectively and efficiently target those underground nuclear facilities very fast. And finish the job quicker. That's all, and save more toll of human life. But Israel is entirely capable of doing it. It's that, and I don't think Israel can afford anything other than completely destroying the nuclear program and missile program. If you already, walked into this adventure, then you want to end it with a clear result.
Now, Or, you have been following Iran and Israel's war capabilities for a long time now. The way the war is playing out, is this what you anticipated? Are there any surprises the way the things have unplayed this past week?
Look, I am positively shocked. I can say that. I knew that the Israeli Air Force, the Mossad, the intelligence had remarkable capabilities. I did not expect, maybe I did not expect is a bad, it's the wrong way to put it, but I did not see this coming. Such impressive performance, and this happening so quickly, and Mossad agents acting on the ground, and all these targeted killings, all the same time, simultaneously. And so this is really exceeding the expectations. And to be honest, this is only giving us optimism that Israel will this time finish the job and finish off Iran's nuclear program, and for good, not just for Israel but for the entire region and the world. These missiles can reach all the way to Eastern Europe right now, and imagine what will happen if Iran continues to develop these missiles to reach all the way to the United States. This is, or give it to one of its proxies. This cannot be allowed. And I am incredibly impressed, and we're all here in Israel praying for the success of this mission to remove a threat, and it's a clear and present threat that we are removing right now.
And what about world support right now? In the very beginning of the war with Gaza, there was world support for half a second at best, and then the world turned on Israel. What are you seeing now with countries in Europe, let's say Germany, for example, in terms of their support of this war?
Well, the world loves winners. That's what I see, that countries like Germany and France and the United Kingdom, that a week ago, just last Wednesday, today's Wednesday, so last Wednesday, they heavily criticized Israel for what it's doing in Gaza, and France, as Emmanuel Macron, also threatened to take concrete steps against Israel in the coming days and possibly recognize a Palestinian state. And now the state of affairs is such that France is offering to participate in the defense of Israel, and Germany's Chancellor Merz has said that Israel is doing the dirty work for all of us, and we're thankful for it, and they should continue to completely remove the threat. This is incredible, and it's very encouraging. And again, the support by the United States is amazing. And I think this is exactly, Trump always says, think like a winner. So I really want to think like a winner here. And I think, unlike the Palestinian arena, in Gaza, we know when you can tie it easily to all these long-lasting, deep-seated conflict with these toxic emotions, and one can always go with these ideological narratives here and there and frame it the way you want. But in Iran, it's quite clear cut. You go to the nuclear sites, you go to the missile sites, and you destroy them. It's very clear cut. And I think that secretly or not secretly, Europe is very supportive of what Israel is doing, because it doesn't need a nuclear Iran that will pose a threat on Europe, on the interests of the Middle East, on the free world. It doesn't need Iran to be nuclear, and we all understand that.
The supreme leader of Iran has made a statement that if the U.S. does join this war, there will be serious, irreparable consequences. What do you make of that?
I don't think he will. He estimates to what extent the United States is ready to pound back if Khamenei strikes any of its soldiers. And the U.S. servicemen and women around the Middle East, if Khamenei dares to touch the hair of any of them, I think the results will be irreparable and grave. That could come back to bite him. And I think he understands that. Look, Khamenei is now hiding in his bunker in Lavizan, in northern Tehran, and has been sending these menacing tweets and statements. But his close advisors are saying that he's confused, that he's shocked, and the people of Iran, take a deep, close attention to it. One of the tweets said, "We have the support of the people, and we're here to define the Americans and the empirical Zionists and all that." Now, one does not say we have the support of the people if one did not have doubt that it has the same support. So you usually don't state the obvious, and he does a lot. So I don't know what's going to happen in Iran, but I would not advise Khamenei to start targeting U.S. troops around the region, or any American for that matter. But for the United States, it's very clear. Up until now, we've been debating, we're mulling this decision, and if Khamenei does make the decision easy for us, then we're going to intervene. So that would be a rushed decision on his part.
Or Yissachar, head of the IDSF Research Department, thank you for joining us today, providing this briefing. Throughout this war, your entire department, you've been working 24/7, really following what's happening, analyzing it, reporting on it, and getting the information out there on our website. Everyone watching this briefing, whether you're watching on Zoom or on YouTube, you should be registered to our email list. We're sending out, as our research department produces materials updating us on this war, we're sending this out through our email lists. So if you're not on the list, get on our email list. You can find it in the description in YouTube. You can find it in the webinar chat. And this is the best way to really keep track of what is happening in this war. So, or you are doing that under in your department. We very much appreciate all that you are doing. Thank you to all our viewers and supporters for tuning into this briefing. We will be back with you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.